Great. Okay, we are ready and welcome. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We are with Freeform Fitness and we are going to talk about how to get moving today. My name is Lynn Ladd and I represent the Ottawa Board of Trade, and it is my pleasure to be here with you all today. I would like to give you a few updates about what the Ottawa Board of Trade is doing right at the moment. And right at the moment, we're focusing primarily on the reopening of Ottawa. We are so excited that stage 2 is already underway, and it is our mission to help Ottawa businesses reopen in a safer manner so that they will continue to be successful beyond the pandemic. We do have a brand new addition to our website, and that is Ottawa Reopening, which lists a number of the programs that we have underway to help Ottawa businesses. So I encourage you to check that out. If you're not already receiving our newsletter, please let me know, and I will be happy to get you signed up so that you stay on top of all of the recent changes that are going on with things like CERB and the extension of programs like the wage subsidy and what's going on with HST. And we have another upcoming rent due on July 1st. So please stay in touch with us and stay informed at the same time. I would like to welcome you all today to our Wellness Wednesday titled Get Moving. We're going to hear from Frank Desrosiers from Freeform Fitness. But before I introduce Frank, I'd like to just say a special thank you to our sponsors. We are sponsored by the Ottawa Citizen, who is our community partner. Our events are sponsored by Enbridge Gas, and our Wellness Wednesday series has been sponsored by IHR Advisory Services. We thank these organizations for their support. And of course, today's presentation partner, our friends at Freeform Fitness, personal trainers who care. So let me tell you a little bit about Frank, who is doing our presentation today. Frank is a 15-year veteran of the Canoe Kayak Canadian National team. He's coached kayak sprint, kayak marathon, running, biking, cross-country skiing, powerlifting, weightlifting, kettlebell sport, and functional fitness, all from the developmental level to as high as the international level. Long-term development is a key to his coaching style. Frank follows 3 main values in his strength and conditioning coaching that he takes to general training for health and wellness clients that are trainability, inclusiveness, and excellences. Frank makes sure each and every human that passes through his coaching learns the skills to be in control of their own movements and mindsets and does so to their highest potential. With over 17 years of coaching and trainer experience, Frank is the one you want in your corner when you have a long journey ahead of you. And that would be me, the long journey ahead of you. So welcome, Frank. We are so excited to have you here today to talk to us about how we can get ourselves moving again after this pandemic. So many of us have been housebound for so long. And I know a lot of people who couldn't get to the gym are looking to get back into their own fitness routines. And then there are people like me who have come to realize that working from home does not keep us healthy and moving. So we are very much looking forward to this. So Frank, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. So as said, I'm Frank, and what I'm going to start with is just a little routine that you can do either to break up your workday or at the end or start to set yourself up for success. We have a small group, so I'm going to start by showing my original one, and at each one, to get people kind of engaged, I might show different variations with the equipment that everyone has at home at this moment.
I am so game for this because, to have an instructor coaching us on a personal level of Frank's caliber is super exciting.
Sweet. So the first thing I always want to do is a warm up. And my first one is our hips. So a lot of us sitting down are going to get sore hips. So I will advise anyone who wants to join in to sit on their bum on the ground. I'll go to a 45-degree angle to show. Put your heels shoulder width apart, and then window wiper them side to side. Harder it is, the closer your heels are to your hips. And you'll do 10 reps either direction. Make sure your heels are just a little farther apart, about in line with your shoulders, so that you have room for your knee to drop. Awesome. So my next one, stand up for this, is going to be for our back. So if you have a dowel, you grab it. If you have maybe a belt or a towel, then you grab something like that as well. You put it over your head. Feet as wide as your shoulders. We'll dip to one side as far as you can. How far you can doesn't matter. Then you'll take your top hand and dip forward to feel a stretch in your hamstrings. And then pivot on your left hand to come up to the other side. And come right back to the middle. And then we'll go the other direction, dip to the side, forward, up, and down. And we'll do one more in either direction. Forward, side, and then top. And then back, dip, forward, side, and top. You should feel some stretching in your lower back as well as your hamstrings. A lot of sitting, we're always sitting like this, and our low back just gets really tight. To stretch it out is always going to help. What I have next. Next is cat-cow. I'm going to go to the ground in an all-fours position. I'm going to push my upper back as high as I can, splitting my shoulder blades, and then come back down, pushing my stomach to the floor, bringing my shoulder blades together. Doing it 10 times. Back up, back down, that's 4. Back up, back down, that's 5. Up, and down. Really trying to feel the end range of your shoulders going up and down. A lot of people, their heads tilted forward, they might not have a perfect setup like at work. Their upper back and neck are going to be sore. This is one of those. One more in either direction. And then break. The final warm up is going to be for our ankles. So we're sitting a lot, our legs aren't moving. And I want to make sure that our ankles don't get really tight. Simple ankle rotation, toe goes on the ground. And feel the end range. You can do it subtly and get nothing out of it, or you can go and really explore the range of motion your ankle has. Switch directions. We'll go to the other leg. Switch directions. And then take a second. So that's a little simple warm up. That's like your bare minimum. I've moved. I need to prepare my body for doing something a little harder. If you don't have a lot of time, you do something like that. If you have a bit more time, then I'm going to start with banded deadlifts. And this is where we get the strength in. One of the main movements I like to get people who work in offices or chairs is a deadlift. It helps strengthen the lower back and the upper back a lot and stretch the hamstrings. 2 tools, or 1 tool that I really recommend everyone grab, because you don't need much in your home gym other than bands. With some resistance bands, we'll come closer. So resistance bands are the same thickness, but they have different widths. I always recommend someone grab a small one and a medium one, so that way you have different resistance to continuously grow your abilities as you work out. I'm going to use for deadlifts my medium one, but some people can use their thin one. I'll show the deadlifts, and then for the people who don't have any bands, I'm going to show an alternative thing that we can do without any equipment. So for the banded deadlifts, I'm going to take the band, fold it in half, step on it with both feet. Stomach goes out and chest comes up, and then I push the hips through. I'll give the side view. Stomach goes out and chest comes up. What we're trying to avoid is this. This is the position we spend all the time in, and why deadlifts are going to help us is we're strengthening the opposite position. And then push the floor away and push my hips through. So for anyone that doesn't have any equipment, we do two separate variations. We can do a hip hinge or a good morning with the dowel. Dowel goes on our shoulders, squeezing our shoulders together. Slight bend in the knees. Push the hips backwards and let your eyes face the ground. This is going to help strengthen your lower back, just like with deadlifts, and your hamstrings. Thank you. Anyone have any questions from there?
No questions.
Beautiful. So the next thing I have is banded wall press. So there's a lot of people who can't do a push-up, but we still want to make sure we make our shoulders and chest strong. So instead of doing a full push-up from the floor, we can make the lever shorter by doing a push-up on a wall or a couch or something. The reason I want to demonstrate banded wall press is the bands can make push-ups harder when you start to progress. So it gives you a tool in your toolbox to maintain the things and goals you want to achieve as you get better and better. I'll demonstrate it on my rack because walls are kind of full of kayaking gear. The band will come under my armpits. I'll use my wall rack or anything to push back from. So when, if you want to grab some wall space or even on your bed, in order to push from and have that different angle. And then I'm just going to come down and up. Perfect. Down and up. Nice, give me two more. Down and up. One more. And break. So it can be hard and simple at the same time. Just a little bit of movement over time is going to make your push-up a little stronger, maybe even starting at the wall and just making sure that you go all the way fully our chest to the wall or to the bench or to the floor and then back up. We're making sure we're going through that full movement, range of motion. For our next one, you can do it again with the band or without a band, squats. Feet right under your shoulders. Push your hips back and then push your knees out to drop straight down. Front knee, push your hips back, knees out, and drop straight down. You want the weight on your whole foot. So even weight between heel and toes. Knees out, straight down. Side view, straight. And awesome. Give me two more. Down, and up, one more, down, and up. The next one I'm gonna do with a band. But again, we can do a different version with soup cans, water jugs, even a kitty cat.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna grab my thinner band for this one. Set up the same as my deadlift. Except I'm gonna row the band to me. So stomach out, chest up, row. So then what you can do is grab your dowel or whatever stick you have. And then be in that bent over position. I want you to squeeze your shoulder blades together and then row into your navel. And then back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and down. Perfect. 7 more. 10. Squeeze and move. Awesome. Squeeze and move. I want to think for your squeezing that someone's got fingers right in between your 2 shoulder blades. You're trying to pinch their fingers with your shoulder blades. That scapular retraction of the shoulder blades is what's going to make the upper back stronger and then prevent neck pain while we're working and we're spending time on the computer.
Well, I have to say that I carry a lot of stress in my upper back and neck, and what you just asked me to do felt amazing.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, their injuries are going to come from their muscles not being able to handle what we're asking of it. And that's a lot to do with our last session when I talked about I want people to be able to perform tasks. And my coaching is a lot to do with performance. If your body's getting hurt from your daily living, your body's not strong enough to handle what you're asking it to do. Whether in strength training or walking or rock climbing, kayaking, whatever activity you do, you're doing it to support your daily performance. And that's the motivation. That's what's going to keep you doing the stuff Monday, Wednesday, Friday in order to have more energy in your day-to-day life. So that's it for the strength portion. So we're going to go to the stretches and keeping it short so that people can just do something each and every day and then build off of that. So for a stretch, we're going to stretch our quads and hip flexor first. And then move it down again. I'm going to do a couch stretch, which is a high kneeling position. And a lot of people, it looks like they're doing this semi-correctly, but they're not actually. I want you to push your hip forward and then to the side. What some people tend to do is they're in here, they're bent over, and they get a little bit of a quad stretch, but not in that hip flexor. It's always bent from sitting. For stretching, you always want to hold it around 20 seconds. And then we'll switch sides. My shoulder is right over my knee, and I'm trying to push my hip in front of the line of my shoulder and knee. And then we'll switch it and do it twice per side. You'll notice it'll be a bit easier the second time you do it. For anyone who's like, I'm not feeling this stretch just yet, what you can do is take your foot and put it on an elevated surface, and you're going to make that stretch feel a whole lot more intense. Which sides? And then relax. Next up, we're going to do a stretch for our hamstrings. So we did the front of our legs, Now we're going to do the back of our legs, and it's going to be a modified hurdler stretch. We'll have the bum on the ground, left leg in front of you, right foot will sit on the inside of your left thigh. What a lot of people end up doing is they reach with their shoulders. They don't actually feel the stretch. So I want you to reach with your belly button and then just take your opposite hand to your leg, twist over, and just rest it on your shin. You're going to feel the stretch a whole lot more intense by adding that leg. You get the side view. I'm sitting up tall and reaching with my opposite arm. If I slouch, and I'm not really going to feel the stretch. And then we'll switch legs. And we'll come back and switch legs again. And then the last one on the other side. And relax. Next up, we're going to do our glutes. They get really tight from not being activated all day. We're going to do the figure 4 stretch. You're going to end up lying on your back. Hooking your left ankle on your knee. Resting your head on the ground to not aggravate your neck. Grabbing your right leg with both hands and pulling it in towards you. You should feel the left hip stretching. For anyone who can't reach their leg, you can use a belt or towel to extend your arms in order to reach your leg. And relax your hips and switch sides. Right ankle goes on left knee. Hands grab left thigh in the back. And come back and switch legs. And switch legs. And relax. We have one more stretch to finish it off. It's going to be the cobra hold. If you've ever taken yoga, you've probably seen this before. It's going to make sure that our lower back is being pushed in the opposite direction that it's spending all day. So the opposite of it being rounded is it being arched. So you'll lie face down on the ground, toes flat, and you'll push your hands into the floor to bring your shoulders up. Side view, anyone eating it. And back down for a second before we finish it with a second item. And back up. And relax. That's our quick In the middle of the day, I need to break up my day. My brain's a little fried from 7 meetings. How do I get up and move, work out? Things can always be adapted and changed for your specific needs. But anyone who just needs a little quick workout, a little quick reminder on how to move properly or work on your posture, that's going to cover most of it. Vandy, did you want to add anything?
No, I don't have anything to add, but Frank, do you want to go over sort of like, you know, if somebody is going to start going back to the gym, once gyms start opening up again, you know, they haven't worked out in at least 3 months now, or for anybody new who wants to start exercising, you know, what would you recommend that they start off with? What should they, you know, ideally be doing on their first time back?
So first time back, and this is something that we worked on with kayaking quite often, because we'd have an off season where we weren't kayaking in our boats, we were just strength training. The first time back, you want to focus on your movement patterns and having the weight quite a lot easier than you otherwise would be. A lot of issues with people coming back to training, especially on the more advanced or intermediate level, is someone's trying to bite off more than they can chew. They're doing what they used to do, but their body's not prepped for it or primed for it yet. So the best and easiest advice is take things slow and make sure you move properly. For anyone who's new or doesn't know how to do that, the easiest thing is grab a professional that does know, and that's going to step by step bring you to your goal. For people who are new, something similar, it's going to take longer to learn the movement patterns than someone who's coming back. They just want to remind themselves of the movement patterns. Any questions from there?
Sorry, I was muted and I forgot to take that off. So for people that have been housebound for weeks and not up to their normal fitness level, perhaps, is there a danger? What can happen to them if they just rush back into their regular routine without stopping to consider the implications of the inactivity for so long?
So what can easily happen is you can give yourself an overuse injury because you're asking your body to do something it's no longer trained to do because you've detrained yourself. You've gone a little bit backwards. Example was I took some time off after I retired from kayaking. My first time back in the gym, I thought I could squat the same I usually could squat. I was confident. I put it on my back. It felt heavy, but I felt confident. So I didn't spend as much time being careful. I ended up doing a bit of damage to my knee just because I couldn't handle it. And I dove right down to the deepest of my squats. And then usually if I was taking a max and I was unsure if I could handle it, I would be a bit more careful and a bit more controlled. So the issue is when people go into a scenario that they're not going to be able to handle, but they're not being cautious about it.
That makes a lot of sense. That, you know, you just can't dive right back in, as much as I'm sure a lot of people are anxious to do that. So maybe this is a premature question, but I'm curious to know how Freeform is planning for their reopening. Have you been coming up with new processes? How are you making sure that not only are your clients going to be safe, but that your coaches and team members are going to be safe in the working environment? Because you must work very, very close in terms of physical distance with your clients.
So I'll pass that off to either Vanny or Ashley. They're working more closely with those questions than I am.
Yeah, and before I answer that question, Anne, I just wanted to add something to the previous question about, you know, making sure that you're prepared to do whatever your body is able to handle at that moment when you're, you know, restarting any fitness regimen or starting a new one. So, you know, even if you don't get injured from, you know, going all out during that first session, you will probably most likely be like super sore for at least a week. So if you're trying to restart a new consistent habit, because, you know, whatever it is that you're starting, it's that consistency that's the most important part in whether or not you're going to be successful. So if you go all out on day one and you end up being sore for a week, you know, that's really going to demotivate you to start again, right? And go back to the gym for session 2. You know, a week off is a long time to be able to be like, oh, you know, maybe tomorrow, or maybe I'll start again later on. So you really want to make sure that you're preparing your body to be able to handle those stressors in order to be consistent a little sooner for that second session, because you want to sort of keep the ball rolling, you know, feel good after that first workout, and that'll be enough to sort of encourage you to keep going. You want to feel good and not, you know, go so hard that you feel terrible and not want to keep going, right? And in terms of procedures that we're implementing, yeah, there's definitely a lot that we've talked about. So being a small fitness studio where we only do one-on-one personal training, we're definitely in a better position than sort of more big box gyms or group fitness classes, just because we can obviously limit the number of people that are coming into our facilities. So at our location at Wellington, and a couple of the other smaller ones, we're limiting the number of trainers working at any one time to 3, which means that, you know, there's only going to be 6 people maximum in our facility at any one time during a session period. We have a couple. Yeah, there's 3 of them that are a little bit bigger. So we were able to manage 4 trainers working at one time at those facilities. So that's Canada, Metcalf, and Albert Street. We are going to enforce, you know, all of our trainers to be wearing masks, and clients as well, which it was a difficult decision just because, you know, it's not the most comfortable exercising while you're wearing a mask. But you really have to weigh the risks and benefits of exercising, and then making sure that, you know, you're not breathing heavily on other people. So that's one thing that was a hard decision to make, but we felt that in order to keep the environment as safe as possible, that was something that we had to do. And, you know, not everybody was happy about it, but we're definitely maintaining these remote sessions that we've been doing over the last few months. So, you know, the remote training options are still an option for anyone who's not comfortable coming into the facility and wearing a mask while they're working out. And then obviously making sure that we clean 3, 4, 5 times as much as we used to. So each trainer will have their own sort of spray bottle so that it's easy for us to spray things down and clean as we're going along. And then other things like making sure that, you know, we're not offering towel service anymore for our water fountains. You can't drink straight out of the water fountain. The water fountains will only be for refilling your water bottles. So making sure that you know, bring a water bottle for drinking with. And then unfortunately, another tough decision was, you know, closing our showers for use, so that the washrooms are only being used for hand washing and obviously to use the bathroom.
Thank you for answering that. And I have to congratulate Freeform Fitness on how thorough you've been preparing for your reopening. And it sounds like, you know, you're really well poised to not only service your existing clients, but anyone who's really uncomfortable with the idea of going back to a big gym full of tons of people all the time, that you're really well set up to deal with that. And it seems like you've thought quite a few things through. I didn't mean to derail the conversation, but I just thought, wow, that's very interesting. And what are you doing in terms of the business side of being able to build confidence and trust for your clientele? And for your staff too, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And since you're working with a trainer, you know, us trainers have control over where people will be within the facility. So, you know, we're always chatting with each other while we're on the training floor, letting each other know where we're going to be next. So we'll be able to sort of modify our programming if needed, just to make sure that each trainer and client has their own sort of zone to work out of, and we're not, moving from one area of the gym to another all the time.
Nice. It sounds like your business model was unintentionally well set up for this kind of situation where it's intimate and you don't have big crowds at any given time. I suspect there's going to be a lot of people looking for alternatives to the traditional gym moving forward, especially those that are already working with the trainer. Like, why not go somewhere where there's more control over the environment? That's going to be really important, I think. And I have to say, I'm just going to add this. I have to say that I don't understand people's fascination with yoga with puppies or yoga with goats. Because when I was doing the exercises alongside with Frank, the cat kind of got a hold of my bun. And I realized I did not enjoy having a small animal loose while I was trying to focus on what was happening. So please don't add that to your curriculum. No exercising with animals.
I'm cracking up over here. That was
Yeah, now my bun is like there we go, that's better. But yeah, don't add that to what you offer to your clients. It might look cute, but it's not very effective, I don't think.
No.
Awesome.
Any other questions or anything?
I have a quick question. Sorry, I might have missed it because I snuck out because while Lynn's cat was climbing on her, my dog was losing it, so I had to take him outside. So I understand. Hi, Ashley. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Long time no see.
I know. My question is about proper footwear. So I've heard some things that running shoes have lifespans. Is that something we should be worried about if I'm wearing the same running shoes I've been wearing 6 years ago?
I think I'll let Frank take this one.
Frank's like, oh God.
So they have lifespans for two main reasons. One is a running shoe, the foam gets squished and then it no longer works as intended.
Okay.
And two, your sweat and germs get in it, and then it just gets a little bit more disgusting than people would like.
Okay.
So the reason to change out your footwear is just when something is worn beyond its ability to use as intended, or when you've used it so continuously that it becomes a hygiene issue that you should keep it.
Good to know, because I was examining the bottom, being they still look good, but it's the inside I need to worry about. Okay, so give them a smell and go from there.
If you've had them for 6 years, odds are you're going to want to change them out or give them a wash. I've known a lot of runners who don't like to change their shoes because they have lucky running shoes, and performance-wise, it's not necessarily going to mess with them. But that's the give and take with health and performance.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to give
Put them in a bucket of soap.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to give a specific time frame because it depends on how often you're using them as well, right? So for me as a trainer, wearing a pair of shoes for 8+ hours a day, walking around actively using them, I probably go through at least two pairs of shoes a year. And how I judge when I need to change my shoes is, one, if I start getting back pain, throughout my workday, or two, I can smell my own feet. So.
We're all being very candid about foot smells here today.
Yeah.
So I have a large amount of different shoes I use for training, and I'll grab them and show you.
Yeah, because as I took the dog out and I'm lacing up my running shoes, I'm like, oh, maybe I might need new ones of these.
And one more.
That's a great question, Chantal. Good job.
Thanks.
So I have my coaching shoe / cross-training shoe. It has a wide toe, just like Vanya said, so that I can spread my feet, my back doesn't hurt. These ones I probably replace every 5 or 6 months. They don't get beat up as much as they just get used. And if you can look really closely, the foam is actually squished down. That's when I know I need to go find a new pair. I hate that I have to get rid of these ones because Reebok actually doesn't make these specific ones anymore. But that's when you just have to shop around a little bit.
That's an endorsement right there, Reebok.
It is. Then I have my running shoes, because I don't want to lift or work in the shoes I'll run in because they'll get worn out really, really quickly. These ones are going to get probably replaced every 3 or 4 months because of how often I run. They get smelly, they go through dirt. I personally like my running shoes to look a little different than my training shoes. Although I really like red. And I have my weightlifting shoes. And these ones don't get worn out like ever because the bottom is quite hard. With these ones, what I have to worry about is the inside getting smelly or disgusting, and I can't really put them in the wash. So I use a bit of a disinfecting spray because these shoes are like $200 shoes. I don't want to replace them every 3 or 4 months. So I have one pair that's a bit cheaper that I use like more often, and then one pair that's more competition style that like I never want to get rid of. And I have my general Converse for like deadlifting or for strength training when I'm not moving more side to side. Like Converse are cheap. I can replace them all the time. They're very flat and they're squishy, but they're not going to deform when I have like 400 or 500 pounds on my back for a squat. So I change shoes quite often. I use a lot of different types of shoes in order to expand the time and life of each shoe.
Honestly, Frank, I think you have more shoes than I do.
I know, I was going to say, that's quite the collection there, Frank.
I'm a performance guy. I like the gear.
Well, it makes sense when this is what you do and think about probably all day, every day, and it's part of your life and who you are, and you know, it goes to how effective you are, I think, as a coach and as an athlete. But yeah, you have a lot of shoes.
It's not even the beginning. I have my casual shoes, and sandals, I have my running sandals. I get made fun of a lot for having running sandals by my clients.
I did not know there was such a thing as a running sandal. That's awesome.
It's big in the barefoot community, just to protect the bottom of your foot, but have something.
Oh, yes.
They cut. Although a lot of people, they don't appropriately build up to having support under your foot, and then they get injuries from just not progressing to running barefoot properly.
That's very interesting. I've always loved the sensation of walking barefoot on different textures of ground and things like that. But I find that as I get older, I'm less comfortable, and I'd love to get back into doing that. And I had forgotten, are those little shoes that almost look like a sock, but they have...
No, these don't. They kind of look like, what's the word? Like a medieval sandal that just wrap around your foot, and it's one piece of rubber or leather, and then it just wraps around your
yes,
and then around your ankle to stay on. But there's lots of different brands and types that wrap a little different, and there's some that look like more adventure sandals that are like the classic dad socks wearing in the sandals. More on the thinner sole side than on that very thick sole.
Nice. I had no idea. That's very interesting.
You ever want to touch shoes?
Amanda, you've been awfully quiet, and this is a wonderful opportunity for you to ask the Freeform team anything that you want about fitness. Do you have any questions for Frank or Ashley or for Vanya while they're on the line with us today?
It's been interesting to watch. Do you have any good like neck or back kind of shoulder stretches? Because I do sit at a desk all day, and just like Lynn, I have a lot of tension building up there.
Yeah, I'd love to see something for the upper back and neck.
So for the neck, it's going to be a simple one, but I'll preface this with saying what's going to help the most is strengthening the upper back. And then just practicing good posture, making sure that your monitor's at the right height so you're not looking down or rounding your shoulders. But for a simple neck stretch, you're going to take your hand and put it on the crown of your head, and you're going to avoid pulling with this hand. You're just going to let it rest softly with the weight. And then you'll pretend like your kid or your puppy or your cat is pulling on your other arm and just stretching. And what you'll do is you'll just explore back and forth until you find the spot that you need to stretch.
I'm quite sure it's not a good thing that my neck crunches when I do that.
You need to make it stronger. And then you go to the other side. And then for the upper back, what we want to stretch is the mid back coming out. So we'll grab our shoulders really high. And I'm trying to grab as far back as I can so that when I push my elbows down, I can spread my shoulder blades. And the farther back you grab with your fingers, the more you can spread them. Now, one tool that I always recommend for people that are really sore is either a foam roller or like a lacrosse ball, tennis ball, a ball. And you can like self-massage with those tools and they'll help. But again, those things are only going to help when you're already not feeling great. But the thing that's going to stop you from feeling bad is making sure that you're strong enough to handle sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day, which is doing bad right knee. What's this question? Major pain after workout or low impact cardio exercises they can do to avoid my knee hurting. So I have a bad right knee and I struggle to get in cardio such as running or even HIIT training without being in major pain after the workout. What are the low impact cardio exercises I can do to avoid my knee hurting? So my two easiest answers are swimming and cycling. And then my complicated answer is come have a conversation with me and let's figure out what's going on with your knee and what it needs to get strengthened so that you can potentially do some of those activities that you like. Going on a rowing machine, a lot of people don't feel their knee pain, but some people do feel their knee pain just because you're not under gravitational load on a rowing machine as you are on running. Cycling is going to help, or swimming. Swimming is always pretty low impact. Any other questions?
It looks like we've covered off most people's questions. I'm just going to put this out there that I can't wait to start incorporating some of these easy little things in my day on a regular basis. That hip stretch and the one that we just did on the upper back feels amazing and so easy for me to do in between a call or in between meetings. And you know, I kept thinking all throughout the pandemic, this is my chance to take stock and make a difference in my lifestyle and make it healthier. And I think this is going to be really instrumental in getting me off to the right start. And I'm really grateful for this. I think this is hands down the most fun webinar that we've done since the pandemic started, apart from the cat incident. But you guys have been so helpful and so great about sharing some of your professional secrets and tips and helping us get moving and outside and motivated. And I, for one, am really grateful for it. I feel better mentally than I did this morning. And I think it's a combination of having a little bit of movement in my day and some great laughter as well. So I thank you for that.
There's way more secrets if you want to know the trove. You got to spend like 2 years talking to me on a weekly basis.
Awesome. So Vanya or Ash or both of you, did you guys have any final thoughts that you want to leave us with today?
No, I just wanted to thank you guys for the opportunity and thank everybody for the questions. And of course, thank Frank and Vanya for doing an outstanding job. I'm happy I tuned in today.
Yeah, Frank was amazing and so enjoyable. I'm sure your clients just love working alongside you.
Oh yeah, they adore my team, that's for sure.
Yeah,
and that's what I love most, you know?
I can see that. And Vanya, did you want to share anything? I find it really interesting that you're both a human resources professional for Freeform Fitness and you're a trainer yourself. So I have to think that you're a big proponent of keeping your workforce physically healthy. I don't know if you wanted to comment on that in any way or just simply wish us all a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, it's definitely important as us trainers that we also sort of walk the talk as well. And I find that, you know, it's really, fortunately for me, not all that difficult to do, because as trainers, you know, we love to move, we love to feel strong. So it's not overly difficult to get them to motivate it, to keep themselves in shape. But, you know, like everybody else, we're human. It's not super easy for us either. When we get busy, sometimes it is tough to get those workouts in. But yeah, we all just take it one step at a time. And I guess it might be a little bit easier for us because we have the understanding of, you know, if we haven't done something in a while, to not expect that it'll feel the same, or that we'll be able to do the same amount of weight or perform at the same level. So I guess we, or some of us, can be easier on ourselves.
Thank you.
Something that we've definitely done quite a lot at Wellington is when someone says they want to work out, let's say at lunchtime, because we have a bit of a lull at lunch, or someone's preparing to work out, a lot of the other staff can support each other. There are times I've worked out with Dania or Ashley's husband that works beside us, Mike, or Jules, and just supporting each other, egging each other on to push a little harder than we would have if we were alone, to hit the right intensity. And that's like something that we at Wellington have a very strong bond with each other.
Well, you know, I'm not surprised to hear that, because since we started having discussions with Freeform Fitness about working with us on these wellness webinars, I've been so struck by how much of a team you actually are, sharing together, working together. It's just really nice to see. So I'm not surprised to hear that you coach each other as well and train each other. That's amazing. So I think if we don't have any other questions, we'll wrap up today's webinar. I do want to say just a couple quick thank yous again to Ottawa Citizen, to Enbridge Gas, and to IHR Advisory Services for their support of the programs that the Ottawa Board of Trade runs. And of course, our new friends at Freeform Fitness, who have been so great helping us offer advice on wellness to the Ottawa business community. I think that today's webinar is probably going to end up being the most watched recording. I personally am probably going to go back to it often until I nail all the nice stretches and exercises that Frank's shown us, and I can't wait to get my resistance bands. Thank you, Chantel. I am looking forward to implementing some of these changes in my own lifestyle, and you know what, I feel great. Thank you. Thank you all very much for joining us today, and this recording will be up live shortly if you want to rewatch it like me. And now I have to go and do something with that cat. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great afternoon. Thank you, Ash, and your team.
Thanks, Tanya. Thanks, Frank.